I'm going to give a few quick words on, well, hopefully quick, on just the world, but singular topics I think that add up in the world. It's a global problem, so I think it relates to world problems that to me are very important to fix in order to work out logically how to fix life. You can't fix a problem without knowing how to fix it. And how do you know knowledge? And the education system in itself is stagnant and non-inclusive for individuality. In terms of every human that was born ever, DNA wise, no one was ever the same. They never had the same personality, tendencies, interests, likes. They might be very similar, but there's no one ever the same. So how can we, under that logic, put a group of children, day after day, year after year, through the same subjects with lack of evidence to say it helps anybody's life in the long run? How can we put 27 to 40 children in a classroom like robots and fucking expect them to do an A4 sheet of paper when one needs to express creative manifestations that are energetically inside their body, predisposed biologically, nurtured throughout their life until they hit that classroom with 27 other fucking students that went through 27 other different pasts that made them into 27 different other fucking people. Okay. Dressed the same, which in some ways I don't disagree with completely, because you can't immediately generalize and gang up and create, cliques. But, the whole idea of trying to make kids the same, and if you're not good for the school, you're not a good kid, you don't belong here, you should go to another school. You go to that school, you go to another school, expelled, like I was. I never got past third year in secondary. Irish standards for any American or English person, GCSEs and all them fucking different years you label. It's different right here, but I was kicked out of primary, and then I went to secondary school, and I was kicked out of secondary school. I went to a school that was meant for kids that were kicked out of other schools. I was kicked out of that one. I was sent to another place for whatever. I think I was kicked out of there. I was kicked out of every school, but I got to do my junior cert, which was third year in secondary school. I would have been about maybe 12, 13 years of age, if I'm just off the top of my head. But that was the furthest I've ever gotten education. Besides that, because of my individual character, I was deemed psychologically disordered. Using the terms that were put on me by psychologists without getting too emotional about it. I'm not going to say, unstable. I'm not going to put words in their mouths, because they use PC words to make it sound professional. So they say, this kid has a disorder, and it's ADHD. And then it's Tourette's, which is a real, physiological, reactionary disorder, if you want to call it like that. But it's a fucking mutation of what's normal. It's not, but bipolar is different. It's way overprescribed, and I mean that's what was next, bipolar. So it went from ADHD, Tourette's, bipolar, and OCD. Then I went from bipolar. Years later, they told me I have bipolar type 2. Long story short, I had to go through 3 psychiatrics as a fully functional, but just very hyperactive kid that was creative. Before I was in the psychiatrics as a young child, I was in theatre. I loved acting. I had a fucking big dream of being the best actor ever. I'm completely undelusional about my prospects in life right now, which could be one way or another. I'm okay to go down any different route. I'm completely stable in my ability to realize what's real, what are my strengths and weaknesses. And I always had that ability, even though I had big dreams. But for some reason, my speed of speech, my mannerisms that were more twitchy due to threats, maybe ADHD, bipolar, these mannerisms, along with my fast attention or like quick attention span, or short attention span, sorry, but my quick ability to process what's around a room. These external behaviors are what gave them their opinion on what I am, diagnosis wise. When internally, this is all because I'm downloading and learning and interested and smelling and seeing. But that's a disorder, because that internal process is being manifested by a more fidgety physical body. A more fucking attentive visualization of what's around me. My imagination, was flourishing as a child. What's wrong with that? What's a disorder about that? Where were the questions where the internal things mattered, not just my movements, my eyes darting around, fidgeting with what's on the table. I could easily have a conversation, and I could diverge for a minute, but I would well know that I'm diverging, and I have to get back to what we're talking about. I would never over or interrupt somebody. I was always the person in a group that would try boost up other people around me, not be the center of attention. I wasn't an egotistical person ever. I was an ego. I have a big ego, but I was never egotistical. I loved seeing people shine. I get enjoyment from that. So, socially, I'm not an unproductive, divisive person. That doesn't represent disorder. Internally, I have the ability to be aware of my behaviors. I have the ability to change my behaviors. The logic and awareness to know what is wrong, what is right. What is a disorder about that internal thing that's going on? When all I can realize is unstable adults trying to teach me things that internally, intrinsically, don't align with who I am or want to do in life. So I can't but help lose attention with what you're teaching. If I like what you're doing and I'm interested, I get the work done like that, but that's not good enough when a teacher feels disrespected. As an adult who should be emotionally stable enough to deal with children who are individuals and always a fucking trouble to deal with. Yeah? If you're not able that day, I know the system is fucked and we can't pay teachers and doctors what they can, so we don't have the fucking amount of people we need to be even in schools or hospitals to teach the people they do. They fucking put that on people on purpose. They orchestrate the stress levels of the masses because they know we won't be able to coincide as people and coexist peacefully. As adults to kids, as races to different races, religions to different religions. Stress and fucking psychopathy is the downfall of humanity. The stress levels don't let us get around the psychopath's tactics. The stress levels don't let us have a clear vision of what we want and need in life, and we don't know how to fight for it the right way. But this is a ramble right now. But Maslow's hierarchy: warmth, rest, water, food. Then you have intimacy and friendships. Then you have community and a sense of security where you are. You're not in danger and you're not paranoid. Then you have a sense of prestige and achievement. Doing your hobby, what you love, what you like, progressing and getting better. Little or small, you don't have to be Michael fucking Jordan. You can just do more push-ups a day and have an achievement and learn to say, I'm going to do this by Friday. I'm going to drink 3 liters of water fucking by Friday if you drink no water, or 1 liter a day, or whatever the fuck. Simple task that you fulfill, you know, and then move on bigger and bigger with your goals to feel that inner prestige. After you do that, with everything else, the physiological needs, the community intimacy, friendships, the security, and the self-prestige, after that you have the space to self-actualize and feel content, which in my own interpretation means you're okay with that. And it means you're so in the moment that it's not about how long you die now, it's about being the best person you can be, always in the now, when knowing you can die. And being a good person isn't being a good person around people or being rewarded for it. It's being a good person because you get that sense in your heart that it's the right thing to do and you can die without any guilt or regret. Yeah? You know, dying happily is a lot more symbolic than living happily, because that comes guaranteed. If you die happy, you have lived happily. So learn to die happily. And if you can imagine a thing where you're gonna regret it, get over that trauma, face fucking first without any addictions. And if you have an addiction, get out of it and learn to, if you can, face it head on. Go through the crying, the fucking everything you need to do. If you don't have the facilities to help you, like all these healthcare systems that I'm just talking about, educational systems that should be doing their jobs, if you don't have that, read Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, Socrates, you know, Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius is an emperor, Epictetus is a slave. Get both sides of the coin with the same philosophy. You know, deal with life as is within your body, your control. You have control, but you can't control what happens around you. But you control how you can feel about it. Maybe right not now in this second, so don't feel down, but it's about learning more and more how to control yourself and how you feel about your external environment, bad or good. And the more you feel okay with what you're in, the better you'll perform. The better you'll perform, the more content you'll feel. On and on from there. I'm fucking rambling. But I feel like the tribes out in Africa, right, who are, you know, polar opposite, right? The people who are impoverished in Chicago, fucking different parts of the world, you know, everywhere, anywhere. You know, third world countries where people are deprived systematically, yeah? Systematically, that's the difference, because there's a systematic deprived impoverishment, and then there is an autonomous right, not a privilege, given the tribes, which have a completely different way of looking at life, a completely different health, and a completely different way of achieving self-fulfillment. Maslow's hierarchy, without living the first world rat race dream, having to do it all or everything, or fulfilling your mother and father's expectations or your egotistical expectations. You know, these tribes fulfill Maslow's hierarchy. They have the warmth. They know how to build fires. They know how to build their own clothes. That they know how to get water, even if they travel for it. They get food. You know. Then they have community. They have intimacy, relationships. They have everything on the list. They have self-actualization. They have no other distractions like phones or any bullshit fucking influencer telling you what you don't need. Yeah, they don't have anyone telling them what they don't need. They have their own role in their community. The wise guy, the guy that dances, the guy that tells jokes, the people that hunt. They have community, the people that pick the fucking shit, that cook. They have community. They have it all going. They have togetherness. And they're living in the now, and that's why they die happy, and that's why they don't have the diseases that we do. Even though they don't have the money, they have Maslow's hierarchy down to a T, and even more knowledge that we don't know. But simplify your life. Try be alone in your own head. Be okay with being alone, and fight to be okay with being alone. You know, go through the torturous moments alone to be okay with being alone. Because you have to fight the fire, and you know, like they say, the fire hurts the same, but you can take the pain. more and more. You take the pain more and more. You manage it. And it's a hard concept to grasp. But, if people get into an ice bath, it's always as cold as when you got into your first time or you're 100. But you're 100, you don't panic the same way you did the first time, yeah? Fight the fire. Concentrate on that panic. Really breathe. Don't take that as a cliche way to say, oh, count to 10. Take a deep breath. Really, learn your body. Learn your brain. Accept your dark side, your good side. And understand it from different perspectives. Don't be afraid to say we. Don't be afraid to say me. Don't be afraid to say I. Contextualize yourself in third person sometimes. Sometimes you need to be a bit crazy. And sometimes that is just life. That is human. And every single person before you and with you and around you has thought the same way, but they're just afraid to say it. Don't be afraid to be whatever you are. Yeah, inside here. Just control what you do with what goes on in here. Yeah. Control what you do. Manifest it. And when you're not afraid of thinking the thoughts that scare you, but you don't act on it, then you're a person that's closer to free will than anyone else that's regurgitating what they saw on TikTok or the Kim Kardashian show. What would they say? An NPC. People that are programmed and can't change. But even at that, there's many things. They might get struck by lightning and learn Chinese overnight. You know what I mean? They might get a brain injury and then could become a savant. So, yeah. I have the old bobber on this, if anyone didn't know. I was looking like OG Loke for a second. Motherfucker! OG Loke! People won't know what that means. Only the OGs will know what the OG Loke means. Yeah. But, yeah, that's enough. That's enough fucking G70 minutes, my God.